All right, let's just do this. Okay. Let me make this very clear. Despite that I've future me's put the title up there correct and shit, I'm not calling this game throughout this review Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2. I'm going to call it Vampire Disappointment. Because this is honestly the biggest disappointment I think I've ever played. How do you fail this bad? How? Okay, let me shut stupid people up. Let me make this clear. I already gave this game quite a few concessions. One, I wasn't expecting or demanding the character creator to be here. Okay, I was kind of bracing for the possibility that it wasn't going to be here because that requires too much effort from some. Fine. Duck it. I'll work with it. There were also some other things I was kind of bracing myself for. I was expecting the game to kind of not feel the same. I was kind of expecting it to feel different. I didn't expect to be bored. Okay? I didn't expect boredom to be my primary thing I felt throughout the whole fucking game. Okay? Let me just make this clear here. The whole voice acted elder, you don't get to make your character, it's kind of a pre-made character. I could have worked with that. If it was worth a fuck. If it was worth a damn. If it was well written. If it was written worth a shit. It wasn't. No, it was not. In fact, as much as it pains me to say, the writing in this game isn't the only thing that's inferior to the prior game. In fact, I could so effortlessly, so easily go into a 60-minute tangent on how this game is inferior in every regard. But none of us have time for that shit. Okay. When it comes down to it, this game honestly sucks to play for me. Because honestly, it has nothing memorable, good, enjoyable, or that doesn't look like shit, or doesn't look like it was rushed out the door. That's before we get into any of the bugs I had. We haven't touched none of that shit, and it's already a not good experience to a degree that is illegal. Here's the thing. The game is about 60 hours long if you don't dick around like I did. I did some dicking around hoping to find something good to say. I got fuck all for that. So yeah. Honestly, if you're not dicking around and you're actually, really stupid, if you're like one of those, like, I'm pro MLG motherfuckers, guess what? This thing's going to be probably about 40 hours. My bad. Almost tongue-tied it there. Here's the thing. This game already sucks pretty much from the outset. Now, even if you're like me and you manage to push aside that there's not going to be a character creator, they do have an appearance thing, but it sucks. It doesn't replace a character creator, for one. Two, it doesn't really mean shit, because no one gives a fuck. You changed your hair. Cool. Oh, what's that? You're wearing a different clan's outfit? Cool. Yeah. Honestly, unlocking these things isn't even that fun either, because all it is about unlocking abilities in the other trees, which it doesn't fix the game, it just adds to the grind. I know, because I tried that. I regretted it. Ugh. Now, let's go into another thing. Don't you worry, I know there are plenty of people like myself, plenty of people like Smash, who are probably going to be saying, there's some bigger problems here, like the fact that there are stuff that's locked off. Don't you worry, I'll get to that. I got you, fam. I got you. I'm going to start with everything else so we can get them out the way. First of all, one dumbass motherfucker thought it was a good idea to make it so that this way, guns and swords are no longer things you can actually use. No, they're something you telekinetically light off once and then throw to their own destruction. I have dozens of opponents who are all around me who have plenty of ammo. I can't just go tank and clip, ready to go again. No, I can only telekinetically light it off till it's empty and then throw it away, breaking it in the process. What? Wait. I can only throw a sword into somebody's throat once. And then it's unusable? Fuck you. I, myself, in case you have not figured it out, I myself practice with swords. I know for a fact, unless those things are made out of wet tissue paper, they can be used again. And again, and again. Unless you're chopping into a nucleus of force of fire shit, you probably are not going to be breaking them by throwing them into someone's throat once. Especially since, again, you're supposedly a super powerful vampire. So I would imagine that once you do throw it, it has enough force to probably not really matter if it does hit bone. Because it's probably going to split that bone just from the force alone. But no. Once used, can't be reused. The fuck? It has a handle! Let me take it out and use it! But no. In this game, you can only do stupid-ass gestures for your fighting, really. Oh, you have your abilities, but you're capped pretty much, from my knowledge, at about 3 times you can use anything, and that'll change depending on the blood cost. Yeah, pretty much using abilities sucks dick, because you get to use them maybe once or twice, maybe for every 10 to 20 minutes. Why? Because you can't just go up to random mugger number 45, go up to him as he's trying to shoot you, and bite his neck out. You're right. You heard me right. You can't just go up and bite somebody. Nope. You have to stealth. Great. How's the stealth? Is it better? Are you stupid? Barely, if it's touched at all. Now, here's the thing. They do have some abilities that are supposed to be stealthy. Yay, whoop the fucking do when it's all based off of your very limited blood capacity. If I barely get to use them, they're not abilities, they're not powers, they're an annoyance then. When there is such a disgustingly huge limitation on the use of them, to the point where there's no point in experimenting. Why should I experiment with other powers when legitimately more than half of these powers suck dick anyways, and the other half are too situational? It probably means I won't use that shit. So basically, playing as a Tremere, in other words, I'm supposed to be magically focused, for those of you who don't know the lore. A Tremere vampire is basically a fucking Gandalf or a wizard, okay? They're supposed to be slinging magic, vampire magic all over the damn place. And I'm not going to lie, I think I used it maybe twice, maybe 3 times every other hour. They were that pathetic. They were that pretty much used up. Done. Now I can't use it until I manage to stealth on some motherfucker and drain them. Like that. Instead of being able to, drain the people shooting at me. Call me crazy. Oh, and if you're worried about, but King, there's another, yeah, you can just shut up already. I'm going to cut you off and tell you right now, there is another way you can drain people. But the problem is it's not any better. If you want to drain people outside of stealth and when you're actually fighting, you have to stagger the enemy. You heard me right. You have to hit them enough to stagger them and not kill them. Yeah, that's not better. That's not any better. That's not a consolation. That doesn't make up for it. That doesn't mean shit. It just means, oh yay, I'm still super limited on my overall being a vampireness to the point where I might as well just be a fucking mortal. There's not really a lick of difference other than I'm over here doing some stupid twisting shit. Literally. That is what Tremeres are doing. They move their fingers like this. And I wanted to bitch smack whoever was in charge of making the game like this. Because how do you fuck up this bad? Tell me, what part of this looks fun? What part of this looks enjoyable? Especially for 60 hours straight. Because again, you're barely going to use your abilities, if at all. Because most of them suck and aren't very useful. And the rest, well, you're limited by your disgustingly low total blood cost. And from my knowledge, I haven't been able to find a way to increase that motherfucker at all. Okay? At all. honestly, this game, even in not just in the combat, not just in abilities, or being able to even use abilities worth a damn. I can't think of one thing in this game, one singular thing, that isn't inferior to the last game. The look of the vampires. Yeah, they look pretty much the same. The only ones who look any... They kind of look all the same to each other, more or less. Even their senses of fashion, there's nothing really. I can't think of anything that matters, that has any differencing or differentiating. They don't even play differently. They all pretty much play carbon copy the same way. You go up, you do your stupid animation for hours on end against bullet sponge, or sorry, no, gesture sponges, I have to call them, because you don't get to really use bullets for shit in this game. Unless you manage to find the one jackass who didn't get to use all his ammo, and then you can use your telekinesis to float the gun in the most bullshit, inaccurate way possible, to the point where why even fucking bother with the gun at all? You'll light off your rounds with absolutely zero sanity to it. And then because this dude is inept and doesn't know how to grab ammo from the other people he killed just 1 second ago, who are using the exact same gun, the exact same model, the exact same ammo type, but yet he cannot figure out how to pick it up, put it into the gun, nothing. Can't even hold the gun properly. He has to float it for all guns. In other words, pretty much all guns are garbage. The only gun that has even 1% chance of being worth a fuck is the shotgun. And even then, not by much. Because again, even though you'll find tons of dudes wielding shotguns who have ammo that you could have gotten from them, you cannot pick up any ammo to reload that shotgun at all. So in other words, what you'll do is you'll telekinetically throw it, destroying it. Okay. Fuck you too, game. Fuck you too. Want to go around using any kind of melee weapons, like I said, chuck them, they're done. If there's a perk for it, I don't really care or remember if I went and unlocked it at all. But that's kind of my reoccurring thing with most of the game. I was so bored, nothing was truly enjoyable. Even traveling sucked dick and was far inferior to the last game. In this game, travel is go thousands of meters that way, go thousands of meters that way, meters that way, that way, that way, that way, that way. And the only way to get around worth a fuck without actually, breaking the Masquerade and getting yourself an insta game over, you heard me right, break the Masquerade, and instead of just having some strong enemies that attack you, it is insta game over. Yeah, and it doesn't help that everything that involves that little bar builds up way too fucking fast, and most every ability triggers it. In fact, just trying to get around, the only way to make it so you're not constantly triggering that stupid ass shit every 5 fucking minutes is if you're up in the air gliding around, and somehow, I don't know how they've accomplished it, they've made gliding boring, frustrating, and unlikable. Congrats! You've made gliding suck, and you've made combat suck. Good job? Was your job to fail? I don't think so. But here we are. They suck. They suck ass. In fact, my happiest moments, my most favorite moment throughout the entire game were these 3 tiny things. And they're tiny, alright? My favorite moments are literally the final boss fight of the game. 2, the final twist at the end of the game. No, I'm not talking about what your character is. That one was kind of boring and not very well set up. No, the other one, because it railroaded me because I didn't expect it. So well done on that. And then the end credits. Those are my favorite moments. When the game ended, game was at its end, and the game did a twist at the end. In other words, I was happiest once it was over. That should tell you how just unlikable combat traveling was. Now we get into the other stuff. The stuff that I'm sure there are probably tons of people who are pissed off about the most. I'm willing to bet I'm not even in the top 20 most pissed about it either. I'm willing to bet you there are probably people raging still inside about it, and I can't blame them. If you want to play as a Toreador, or in other words, sexy vampire, fuck you, pay $12. Sorry, no, I forgot tax. $13 more, or buy the season pass, which is about $40, 40 or $30. I can't remember, and honestly, I don't give a shit to remember. I'm not gonna look it up either. Anyone who actually knows what the cost of it is, place it down there, because I'm not looking it up. It's insulting enough that this is a class that was already in the game, and it was in the game the same way that Goro was in Mortal Kombat. Remember that shit? On the disc, couldn't play unless you fucked over and got more money? Yeah. Same thing here. The digital edition of that same exact thing, 1 for 1. There are Toreadors in the game, even if you don't pay any money for it. You can talk to them, but fuck you if you want to play as one or have their abilities. There's also a new one they added, which is pretty much the same shit. You heard me. The exact same shit. Go spend that $13 or buy the season pass. Or you can go fuck yourself. Especially since your game kind of just, is a colossal disappointment at every minute turn. And I'm sorry, but why in the Quaker fuck would I advise anyone to touch this shit ever when I can instead advise them to save the money instead of buying the system? Because there's some people who are weird about it and love saying, oh, I gotta buy the system, the new system. Don't. You'll save money by just going and getting a PC. And that's not coming from PC Master Race motherfucker over here. That's coming from Schmuck who's been a console devotee for too long. I myself can tell you, blindfolded and ball gagged, that there are fuck tons of cheaper things here that you could do instead of buying that crap. You could go buy a PC. It'll be cheaper. Not just in long term, but in short term as well. There are literally hundreds, thousands. I can't even keep track of how many budget PC build videos that there are. And they range everywhere from building it yourself to having someone else build it. Yeah. Hell, I've seen people build freaking a nice ass PC with only $400. $400! Yeah. But even if we ignored that part of the few people who are saying, like, I have to get the new system, still don't get this game, even if you already have the system. Because it's still better for you to just pretend this game doesn't exist. No, really. You are still infinitely better off just saying fuck it, getting a PC if you don't have one, or just using your PC to go and get the prior game. Because in every metric, it is a better experience. It is better time. It is in every way a superior experience. Especially in the parts that are the most critical for any game. Gameplay and enjoyment. When these parts are tedious and suck, why should you buy it when there's a better thing? Go get that better thing. This game honestly does not benefit from its title. From the name of Vampire Masquerade. If anything, all it does is sully the prior game, disrespect it, and shit on its grave. Facts are, that game hasn't really gotten much love in more recent times, I should say. It is still a game, though, that I can at least recommend. This, all I can recommend is if you already got suckered into buying it, go get your refund. Because you will get your refund off of this shit. When a game is this disappointingly bad and unfun, yeah, you can get a refund right now. Anyone who's stupid enough to actually try and talk back on you, you can try and do the same thing I'm going to do if I ever get suckered into buying this, or I find out one of my family members gets suckered into buying this, or anyone I know gets suckered into buying this. I'm going to tell them it is a crap game. It is unfun and I will never touch it again. Give me my money back. Or at least let me buy something else with that money. Either or would be better time, better usage of everything you have in existence. Hell, I'm not gonna lie, this game was so boring, I think I will forget its name or the fact that there was ever a sequel to the first game pretty quickly. Very, very quickly. Alright. Time for the score for this thing, alright? I'm going to be kind and generous. You may thank me later, developers of this game and producers of this game. You will thank me later. I give this game a 3. I was tempted to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 3 just due to the fact that I don't want to remember this thing at all. And I'm going to be very happy the moment I forget it ever existed. Okay? Cool. Great. See you soon. Hopefully my health doesn't deteriorate again. Hopefully. We'll see. But for now, goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye.